All right, you're going to do great. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Volunteer West Virginia Wednesday. Just a few shout outs. We want to say hello to Tracy. You're always on almost all of our webinars, so I love that. It's good to see you again. And welcome to John and Love and Rhonda. And we'll have some more people joining us in the meantime. But before we get started, we have a chat box question. So if you don't mind sharing, what organization are you with? Where are you from, and what is your favorite fall activity? And go ahead and put that in the chat box just so we can begin to get to know everyone, and we'll get started in just about 1 minute. Rana, I love your attitude. Rana just said she's with Meals and Wheels in Randolph County, and what she loves about spring, it's just that much closer, or what she loves about fall, it's just that much closer to spring. I can't agree. Counting down the winter days already. And then we have Tracy from Youth Service System. It's good to see you, Tracy. And she loves attending all the fall festivals. And I'm pretty simple. I like caramel apples, and I'm just pleased that it's going to get darker a little bit earlier because I'm getting tired of working outside. I love it, but then I work myself to the bone. So I'm looking forward to some relaxed evening. So if you just joined us and you feel like it, go ahead, introduce yourself in the chat box. You can say where you're from and what your favorite fall activity is. And I'll let you all read through those while I start our introductions for today. So my name is Dana Bryant. I'm with Volunteer West Virginia. I've been here for almost over 10 years. I love what I do. And then we're joined by a special guest today. She's going to be our presenter, Gina Namay. And welcome. So today's webinar is part of the Volunteer West Virginia Wednesday series. If you've never joined us before, it's our monthly free training program where we explain our programs, we network, provide training, and most of all, we have fun. So this is going to be a really laid back use of your hours. You can just sit back and relax, learn some emergency preparedness tips to share with your community. And we're going to be sending out all the slides from today's webinar along with a resource sheet. So don't feel like you need to take notes today. I'll send that out with the recording too as soon as we're finished today. So you can just sit back and enjoy today's training. And if you haven't signed up already, we have some really good training topics coming up for the rest of the year. October's is the Power People Creative Volunteer Recruitment for Nonprofits. And that's going to be presented by Katie with the Social Bee in Fairmont. And this is going to be really good because this is one of our most requested training topics is volunteer recruitment. So you're not going to want to miss this. Katie's putting together a really good presentation for you all. And then in November, we're having Nikki from the Grant Advantage, and she's going to be sharing a little bit about transitioning from foundation grants to federal funding, which should be really interesting based on the landscape of the past year. So she'll have some great expert tips for you if you want to transition your funding into a little bit higher. So if you're used to getting smaller grants and you want to get bigger grants, this is a perfect webinar for you. And then in December, we're going to wind down our year and we're going to have another guest presenter. We're going to have Sharon Stover, and she's going to explain self-care for sustained leadership, which will be perfect in December. It'll be a chance to unwind after a busy year. So you can register for all these trainings on our website, volunteer.wv.gov, and then they'll be on your calendar for the rest of the year. So today's topic is Get Ready West Virginia, National Preparedness Month. We are joined by my coworker. I love her to pieces. We've worked together this whole time, Gina Namay, and she is our Disaster Services Coordinator at Volunteer West Virginia. And she does a lot for us, but one of the things she does is she oversees the Ready West Virginia program. and that's the state's preparedness program. So she's going to explain a little bit about that and then tips on how you can get prepared for National Preparedness Month. So welcome, Gina.
Thank you, Dana.
You're welcome.
Can everyone hear me and see me?
You sound great.
Okay, good. Welcome everyone. Thank you for attending today. We're going to learn some preparedness tips, how to be prepared ahead of disasters. September is National Preparedness Month, and each year throughout the country, states are encouraging their citizens to prepare for disasters. When residents are prepared, communities become more resilient. So why is it important to be prepared? Because disasters don't announce themselves. Even if you are to get a warning, you may not have enough time to get prepared or gather the things you would need to evacuate. Also, first responders are a very limited resource. If there's a widespread disaster, they're going to be addressing the most critical needs first. And they may not be able to get to you because there may not be access. Roads may be blocked. So you need to be ready to take care of yourself, at least until help can arrive. Also, critical services can be impacted during a disaster. Your electricity and other utilities can be out. Roads and infrastructure can be damaged or blocked. Like during the derecho in 2012, we had over 400,000 people in West Virginia without power during the hottest month of the year. So it behooves us to think ahead about how we'll take care of our needs if something like this were to happen. And lastly, natural disasters are increasing either in frequency or severity. In West Virginia alone, flash floods have increased by 26% in the last 5 years. And billion-dollar disasters have increased, almost doubled here in West Virginia over the last 5 years. So being ready ahead of a disaster is the best thing that you can do to protect what matters most. So how to get started? Well, there's 3 basic steps to being prepared. You want to be informed, make your emergency plan, and build an emergency kit. We'll review those 3 steps. So step 1, being informed. Know the hazards in your area. Do you live near chemical or industrial hazards? Do you live near bodies of water, a creek, river, or even low-lying areas that tend to get flooded? We're all vulnerable to severe weather and power outages. And do you know how you will get alerts and how you'll stay informed? There's different types of alert systems. The wireless emergency alert system are announcements that go to your mobile phones. All current mobile phones have that. It's where the local, state, or federal official agencies can send out emergency announcements, which includes amber and silver alerts as well. Also, there's the emergency alert system, which is the same, but it goes to radio and TV. And it's a very old system we've had for decades. Some communities have outdoor sirens. We do here in Kanawha County. They test those on a monthly basis. And there's also opt-in alerts systems where you can opt in. What the best thing I would suggest is to contact your county's emergency management agency to see if they have any opt-in systems that you can sign up for. Some will be, you can sign up to get texts or emails. We'll be handing out a resource page after the webinar with links and resources that I mentioned today, and one of them will be this list of county emergency management. Also, you can follow local official agencies and news sites on social media and have a weather radio or regular radio that is battery operated. Emergency apps can be helpful as well. FEMA and Red Cross have an emergency app that provides weather alerts, safety and preparedness tips, as well as locations of shelters during an emergency. Red Cross also has some additional apps. There's a first aid and a pet first aid app, which has a lot of great information. So during storms, severe weather, there are three different types of alerts. There's the advisory alert, which is less serious, and a watch, which is possible occurrence, location and timing is still unknown. So it means what it says. You need to keep track of it and see what's going to happen. And a warning poses a threat to life or property. It's imminent or occurring, and you need to take protective action now. And so those are the type you really want to be ready for ahead of time. So during a hurricane or severe storm, you should open a few windows to relieve pressure from your home, creating less structural damage. Do you think this is true or false? Put it in the chat box and just take a second to say if you think this is true or false. Okay. Okay. All right, we have a true and a false. So 50-50. Shall we see the answer, Dana? So false. Okay, we got quite a few falses. That's right, because actually that pressure will build up in your house and can cause damage to your ceiling or your roof. So you don't want to do that. Next. During severe weather hazards, these are just common sense tips to follow. You want to stay indoors, bring your pets inside, secure any outdoor objects or bring them inside. Keep trees and shrubs well trimmed so they don't damage your home or outdoor structures. Keep doors and windows closed, and if there's a high wind warning, you want to stay in an interior room that has no windows or go to your basement, and be prepared for power outages. So here are a few power outage tips. You got to have those flashlights available, but batteries that work. That is something you want to have on hand. Keep your gas tank at least half full. And why is that? During a widespread power outage, pumps don't work. That happened in 2012 during the derecho. Also, credit card machines may not work as well. Unplug your electronic equipment so it protects them from power surges. Have alternate ways to charge your mobile devices. And keep your food safe. Keep your fridge and freezer shut. They can stay safe for 4 hours in the fridge and 48 hours in the freezer. You also want to have a backup plan for any power-dependent metal equipment that you may be using or need. And if you use a gas-powered generator, make sure to operate that away from the house and garage so that to prevent carbon monoxide poisoning. Yes, yes, solar lights are wonderful to have. Oh, great tip, Melissa. Thank you. So also another skill to know is just how to shut your utilities off. You don't want to do this without an official's order to do so, or unless you have to evacuate. But just knowing where those main valves or switches are, tagging them, learning how to turn them off, and sharing that information with your family. You can contact your utility company to learn about that, to learn how to do so safely. Next. So step 2, making your emergency plan. You want to have the following information written down: your emergency contacts, making sure you have your school and work information, identifying emergency contact that's in and out of state. Sometimes when communication systems are down in an impacted area, you can still reach someone like out of town or out of state. So having that single person that your family can reach is critical so that you'll know that each other is safe, especially if you get separated. You want to have a list of your medications and allergies, contact information for your insurance, and any other special needs that you or your family members may have. Another tip is you can put your in case of emergency contact in your phone, but you can do that on your locked phone screen. That way, if you're out of commission, you can't talk, you're unconscious, first responders can see that on your phone. So as you're making your plan, you want to think of being financially prepared. Save for a rainy day. It's an old-fashioned saying, but it still applies. You want to create an emergency fund, save little by little. You also want to keep cash on hand because ATMs might be out, credit card machines may be out, so you may have to use cash if you need groceries or if you need to go to the drugstore. So part of that financial planning is safeguarding your critical documents and valuables. Take inventory of your important documents, and you'll want to store them in a safe place that's easily accessible. So we're going to review some of the things you'll want to capture. Your personal ID and records, such as your driver's license, passport, social security, excuse me, I'm choking, card, marriage or your marriage certificate, birth certificates, your house title or deed, your registration and title for a car, or if you have a boat or RV. And if you have pets, you'll want to make sure you have ID for your pets and vaccination records. A good tip is to take photos of your pets, and especially with you in them, so you can show if they were to get lost or you're separated and you need to look for your pet, you can show that to first responders. And then another thing is the reason you want to have these on hand, you want to have them in a central location. And if you do need to apply for disaster assistance, that you'll be required to show proof of ownership, ID, and all these other things that applications will require when asking for disaster assistance. So also think about capturing those financial records, such as your insurance policies, having a list of your checking, savings, and investment accounts, having a current, maybe your copy of your last year's income tax return, copies of your pay stub and employer benefits records, the copy of your will or trust, and any financial or medical powers of attorney. Also consider your contents of your home and your valuables. You can go room by room and do a video to capture your contents. You can make a list of your major things like your furniture and appliances. And think about family mementos that are just priceless. If you have photos that aren't digital, I suggest you scan them so you'll have digital copies in case something happens to them. Also take stock of any collectibles or jewelry or art that you may have. So once you've gathered those documents, what do you do with them? You want to store hard copies in a fireproof and waterproof safe at home, or you can store them in the bank safety deposit box, especially your originals. And better yet, also have a scanned copy of these same records and store them in the cloud in a password protective platform. This way, if you can't get to your safety deposit box or you could save them on your flash drive, but if that's somewhere that you can't get to, you can always access those documents in the cloud. And like if you're not in your home or you're away, you can access them, on your phone, and that makes it much more easy when you have to make an insurance claim or any other type of application for disaster assistance. And there's a checklist for these critical documents that you can download. We're going to include that in the resources. And there's also more information you can learn about being financially prepared at ready.gov. So true or false, does homeowners and rental insurance cover flood damage? So do you all think this is true or false? You can put it in the chat if you'd like. No. Okay, anyone else? Right on. Okay, Dana, are they all right? False. That is absolutely true. And a lot of people are shocked by this and don't realize that their homeowners do not cover flooding. So we're doing a quick video here
when the clouds form, the rain pours, and water is all around, you'll ask yourself, how prepared or unprepared are you? Did you raise your utilities, appliances and such? Install a sump pump, clean the drains, just in case it decides to rain. Do you know your risks? Have you checked the local plans? You should cover your property with a flood insurance policy. Is your emergency supply kit packed? Is your family prepared? Do they know what to do, where to go, and how to stay safe? Because when the water starts to rise, you must act quickly and be wise. Turn on your radio, listen for updates, and if authorities tell you to go, hurry up and do so. Get to safe ground, go as high as you can, do what you need to do, but don't put yourself in harm's way. Just inches of water can sweep you away. Once the water is gone, move carefully. Be on the lookout for dangers you can't see, animals, debris, and electricity. Do not go home until you hear the all clear. Now when you get home, be aware. Not everything is as safe as it may appear. So before the clouds form, the rain pours, and water is all around, get prepared. Make a plan and keep yourself dry. Get started today. Go to ready.gov/prepare.
Thank you, Dana. That was just a quick video on being prepared for flooding. You can learn more about
being prepared for an emergency means thinking about the needs of all the members of your family, including pets. Take a few minutes to check out the information on ready.gov, specifically addressing tips and tools for pet owners. As you put together supplies for your family's emergency kit, be sure to think about the well-being of your pets. Include food, water, and medicine to sustain your pets for at least 3 days. Visit ready.gov for a complete list of suggested items, along with recommendations for how to prepare an emergency.
All right, I found it. Sorry, Gina.
It's okay.
Preparedness everywhere. National Preparedness Month.
Nice little break. There we go. So why bother with flood insurance? Because over 30% of national flood insurance claims have been outside the high-risk areas. So flooding can occur anywhere, not just in communities near water. Next. This is just a quick little overview. There's two ways you can get flood insurance, through private industry or through the National Flood Insurance Program, which is the federal government's plan. With private industry, you can get higher coverage, whereas the government program maxes out at $250,000 and $100,000 for contents. With private industry, you can get broader coverage, such as covering temporary living expenses. Say your house becomes uninhabitable and you have to stay in a hotel or you have other costs, it can cover that. It also has the choice of replacement costs. So in other words, if you lose your home, it covers the cost to rebuild it, whereas the government plan is just actual cash value of the house or the items in the house, the depreciated value. Also, your government plan does cover most all of the 50 states. And in some cases, private industry that claims and may have a shorter waiting period. And so that's basically some of those differences there. So what about insurance for renters? So it's important for renters to consider having insurance coverage for their belongings. Even if a landlord has flood insurance, it will only protect the building and not the renter's personal belongings. Also, the renter should ask about that specifically for flood coverage, as probably a rider. Just like what happened, if you think about what happened in Marion County, those apartments collapsed from that rain, from the flood that happened here this past June, which was so, unexpected and shocking. It's just things you don't think will ever happen. So if you want to learn more about flood insurance and coverage, you can go to floodsmart.gov. So if you have coverage already, if you're planning to get it, know your coverage. Review what you have. So especially before, looking for other policies, or, look at what you have now. What does the policy cover or exclude? Does it cover detached structures? What type of flooding? Of course, it doesn't cover natural disasters, but does it cover sewer drain backups? What about if you have a sump pump failure? Does it cover bursted pipes? Does it cover those additional living expenses if your home is uninhabitable? And how much is your coverage and what are those limits? Is it replacement coverage cost or is it depreciated value? Do you need a rider, extra coverage for valuables or any other specific risks that you may have in your area? And know your liability coverage. That covers if someone is injured on your property. Know what your premiums and deductibles are and discounts. Ask about discounts. These are some of the typical ones that are out there, like bundling home and auto, installing security systems, or if you have smoke alarms installed or fire extinguishers in your home. Sometimes being a long-term policyholder will give you a little discount. And having a newer home or making any recent upgrades could possibly qualify for a discount. Review and update your policy with any major changes that you may have. So once you've gotten your plans together, your documents scanned and stored, make sure that the rest of your household members know about the plan. Review it so everyone knows what they will do in case of a disaster. Another tip would be to learn about the plans, your emergency plans for school and work. If you have kids in school, do you know how they will alert you? Do you know their protocols for sheltering in place, or if the school has to evacuate? So those are something to think about and to inquire about. So what supplies would you need if you had to shelter in place for several days, or if you would need to evacuate immediately? So take a minute and just type in the chat box what you think some of those supplies would need to be. What would you need on a daily basis to stay healthy and well? Dana, you can go to the next slide. Just let's see, when we have medicine, pet food, definitely, money, yes, cash. Water. You can't live without water. Water is really one of the main items. Anyone else? Okay. Battery, radio. Okay. So we're going to list some of those contents, some of the basic contents that you should have on hand. Dana, hit it. The radio, in case the power goes out, flashlight and batteries, a first aid kit, especially if you need to evacuate, your contacts, your emergency planning contacts, know where that's located, paper plates, cup and utensils, personal hygiene. You want to think about things. These are especially important for evacuation needs. And your cash, so you can purchase items in case credit cards are out. Can opener for those non-perishable foods. Cell phones with chargers, that's a given. Keep going. The tools, that's if you need to turn utilities off. Dust mask in case there's contaminants in the air. And a whistle. I always wonder what a whistle is for, but I think that's more for earthquakes, or if somebody gets trapped for some reason somewhere and nobody can hear you, you have a whistle. So you want to have at least a 3-day supply of food, non-perishable food like snacks, peanut butter, crackers, a gallon of water per person per day. So that's how much water you need. Having your medications and any medical equipment, your pet supplies, and if you have baby and other special needs. So if, most of this stuff we already have around our house. So you could take a weekend and make it a project, do a scavenger hunt, collect all those items so you can have them in one place, put them in a big plastic storage container, where it's convenient near your exit, the front or back door, so that you can grab it and go if you have to evacuate. If you have kids, this may be a fun activity to do one weekend. Also, think about preparing for seniors and those with special needs. I just wanted to touch lightly on that because if anyone in your household has mobility issues or visual or hearing impairments. Think about their needs and how to plan for that. And if a family member or someone who lives on their own is elderly or has special needs, make sure that they have developed a support network, whether that's with family, friends or neighbors, or maybe their caregiver, and make sure that they exchange that emergency contact information with that support network, and talk about how they would need to plan for emergencies, or if they'd have to evacuate, what that would look like and who would be able to help them. There's two great resources for that. There's Planning for Seniors and People with Disabilities, and those resources and links will be included in the handout. So once you've got that home kit put together that you can shelter in place or grab and go, but think about other places you might want to have a little emergency supplies, like in your car or at work or school. Especially if you're commuting, you'll want to have a car emergency kit that has jumper cables, a little shovel, gloves, other things that you might, food and water, a little snack and water in case you get stuck in a storm or in traffic. Also, you want to remember to update your kit, maybe at the time that we turn back clocks or turn them forward. Spring and fall is a good time to remember to update any, like if your water or your snacks are expired. It's also a good time to check your smoke alarms. So that's something you want to also think about when preparing for emergencies. There's two other resources there we're going to provide as well. A low and no cost tips to building a kit. So, smoke alarms. So if you don't have a smoke alarm, it's really important to have one in your home or your apartment. If you're a renter, you want to contact your landlord about making sure that there's smoke alarms. Also, carbon monoxide alarm and fire extinguisher. Those three items there should be at least one on every floor of your home. If you don't have them, this is a great weekend project to install them. And if you don't feel handy, then the American Red Cross has a smoke alarm campaign. You can sign up to receive free smoke alarms, and they will install them as well for free. But if you're trying to do it yourself, a couple tips are: don't place them near vents or ceiling fans, because then it won't pick up. It will impair their ability to pick up the smoke. Oh yes, good, Rhonda, you're right. Fire departments will also install. Okay. So, practicing and training, you'll also want to think about having some life-saving skills, especially if you have a fire extinguisher in your home and you don't know how to use it. I had one on my back porch near my kitchen. My toaster got on fire and I panicked because I had no idea how to use it. So I just remembered the old tip about baking soda and threw that on it, and it smothered the fire. But anyhow, your local fire department will teach you about fire safety and let you practice using a fire extinguisher. So that's a great way to get that skill. You can take CPR or first aid trainings. Those are very helpful. And, you could also invite a first responder to come and talk to your neighborhood association or other community group to talk about safety and preparedness. So if all of this seems overwhelming, I don't know how many of you maybe are already prepared or maybe halfway prepared or have some of these steps accomplished. But if you don't know where to start, you can download our personal prep toolkit. It's on our website. Ready West Virginia has a website and social media sites. Go to ready.wv.gov. We'll also be providing the link to that toolkit as well in the resource handout. So if there's any questions, encourage you to check out our website. Also follow us on, we have a Facebook page and an X page. So follow us. We're always putting out prep tips every week. And any questions?
If you have a question, you can unmute yourself. We're a pretty casual group, or if you want to put it in the chat box, I'll read it out loud for you.
I just got on. What was this meeting about?
Hi, this is, oh, sorry, go ahead, Gina.
Oh, we talked about being prepared for disasters and how to be informed and make your plan and build your emergency kit.
Oh, was this recorded?
Yes.
Okay, so I can go back and watch it?
Yes.
Is it the same link that I joined?
Yeah. Dana, you want to tell her you'll be sending out the information and the slides?
Yeah, that's a great question, Amy. So after today's webinar, I'll send out the recording so you'll be able to rewatch it, and we'll send out the slides too. So you should get those later this afternoon.
Okay, thank you.
You're
If
welcome.
I don't get it, who do I message you?
Yes, you could email Gina just in case you don't get it. And
Okay, will it have her email in the will
Here,
it have her email?
yes, here, there it is.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So any other questions for Gina while you have her on the line? Gina, you have
No,
some.
I'm good. I don't know if anyone else has any. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thanks, Amy.
You're welcome.
All
I
right.
hope
So
you guys have a great day.
you too.
Okay, I did want to
Thank
say
you.
one more thing. I just remembered. So
Okay.
we also have some printed materials and some resources for anyone who does outreach and education. If you go out into the community and want to educate about disaster preparedness. So we do have some resources.
I would like to do that, please.
All right. So anyone that's interested in that, you can visit Gina's website to learn more. You can just email Gina directly if you need resources for community presentations. And then I don't see any other questions in the chat box. So I think we'll wrap up. Gina, do you have any final thoughts?
No, I just really appreciate everyone coming on today. I hope everyone will just take one step to get a little bit more prepared. So I just encourage everyone to do that and have a great week.
Thanks so much, Gina. This was awesome. And Gina's totally right. Just do one thing from today's presentation. I always double check that I know how to turn off my utilities every year. And then, like Gina mentioned, it's a great time to check your fire smoke alarm batteries because we're going to fall back before we know it. So be sure to write down 1 or 2 small steps that you're going to take today to get prepared. And we'll see you all next month. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.